When Jesus was choosing his disciples, he saw this guy named Matthew, a tax collector. Supposedly one of the people that was wicked and evil, and you know, tax collectors had good jobs back then. Their job actually made them a good amount of money. Because they were able to take a percentage of the taxes to keep for themselves. I imagine that Matthew had a nice house and he had nice things. And then one day he's standing there, and this guy that he's heard about named Jesus walks up and says, "Follow me." And Matthew immediately just moves aside from his tax collector's table. He leaves his job, he leaves his lucrative business, and he decides, I'm gonna follow Jesus. I'm gonna forsake what I know, what I have, my things, and I'm gonna follow Jesus. This is in stark contrast to the rich young ruler that Jesus encounters in Mark 10. He comes up to Jesus and says, "How can I be saved?" And Jesus says, "Well, you know, keep the commandments." And he says, "Well, I've been doing that since I was a kid. You know, I've been going to Sabbath. I even pay my tithes. I put 10% in the plate." I'm paraphrasing. I'm adding stuff. But he says, "Yeah, you know, I've been doing all this. I've been a good guy. I really like you, and I'm a fan of what you do." But Jesus says, "Well, there's one thing that you haven't done. Sell everything you have and come follow me." And it says that the rich young ruler just puts his head down and he walks away because he had great possessions. He had too much stuff. And what he didn't realize is that while he thought he owned all of his stuff owned him. And what's revealed here is the difference between a fan and a follower. A fan of Jesus thinks Jesus is really cool, goes to church every week, even gives money, may even serve and volunteer. But you'll know if you're a fan if you're unwilling to give up things that you've gathered on this earth and follow him. And that can be relationships. That can be places you go where you're not supposed to go anymore. And that can be things that you have that you do not want to give up. It can be time that you're spending in ways that are not godly and that are separating, putting a barrier between you and God. And God has been telling you, give it up, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And you're just not willing to do it. You may be a fan instead of a follower. And so I pray that each of you would think about where you stand, and if Jesus, what is in your life that if Jesus asked you to let it go? What relationship in your life, if Jesus asked you to let it go, you'd actually say, you'd put your head down and walk away because you just wouldn't be willing to do it. Pray and ask God to help you be willing to be a follower and not just a fan of Jesus. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Mark chapter 11.